The space station hung silently above the blue and white planet below. Its metal body glinted in the light of a distant star, and the hum of engines and life support systems filled the air with a constant, low vibration. Inside, the corridors were busy with humans and aliens alike. Each species moved in its own rhythm, but all shared one thing: the rules. Strict rules. Safety, order, and control were priorities here, and any deviation was met with immediate attention. Marcus walked down one of the wide corridors, his boots clanging softly against the metal floor. His uniform was crisp and neat, his badge reflecting the station lights. As a security guard, Marcus took his duty seriously. He had served on space stations and planetary colonies before, but this assignment was different. Today, he was being assigned a very unusual responsibility. A young alien girl named Lyra. Lyra had arrived earlier that day, escorted by a small delegation from her species. She was unlike any human child Marcus had ever seen. Her skin was pale lavender, with faint, shifting patterns along her arms that glowed softly when she was excited or scared. Her eyes were large and reflective like polished gems, and they seemed to notice everything around her. She carried herself with a mixture of curiosity and caution, stepping lightly as if she might vanish if anyone approached too fast. Guard. Marcus? A station official approached holding a small tablet. You'll be responsible for Lyra's safety. The quarters are limited, so she will share a room, and temporarily, a bed with you. Station rules require this until permanent. Arrangements can be made. Marcus froze for a moment. Sharing a room with a child was one thing, but sharing a bed? He swallowed hard, keeping his professional composure. Understood, he said. He nodded, though inside, a mix of confusion and unease twisted in his stomach. The official smiled politely, unaware of the human guard's discomfort. Lyra is highly intelligent. She may seem small and young, but she understands more than most humans her age. Trust your instincts, but also respect her. She's from a sensitive culture. Marcus simply nodded again. I will. He escorted Lyra down the long corridor to the quarters assigned to them. The room was small but functional. 2 beds, a shared table, a compact kitchenette, and a view of the endless stars outside. It was designed for temporary occupancy, but for now it would have to do. Lyra stepped inside first, looking around with wide, curious eyes. She did not speak at first, simply tilting her head to observe the human. Marcus followed slowly, careful not to startle her. This will be your room, he said, his voice calm and measured. Your bed is... He paused, glancing at the arrangement. Here. Lyra's eyes flicked to the bed nearest the window. She stepped closer, as if drawn by the light reflecting off the glass. Then, without asking, she plopped down on the bed. Marcus blinked. Lyra, you need to... I like it here, she said, her voice soft but confident. The stars are brighter. I can see the engines. Marcus cleared his throat. All right, that's fine. We'll make it work. As night approached on the station's cycle, Marcus and Lyra settled into the room. He tried to maintain a professional distance, unpacking his small bag of personal items and arranging his uniform neatly on a chair. Lyra, however, seemed restless. She moved to the small table, picking up a pen-like device and examining it from all angles, twisting it in her fingers and occasionally tapping the walls as if listening to something. Marcus watched her silently. She was unlike any child he had guarded before. There was intelligence in her gaze, but also something more, a sense of awareness that made him slightly uneasy. Finally, Lyra looked up. You watch me a lot, she said quietly. Marcus paused, unsure how to respond. I have to make sure you are safe, he said carefully. It is my duty. Lyra tilted her head. You do not trust me. I trust that you will follow the rules, Marcus said, but I cannot take risks. Lyra studied him for a moment, her large eyes reflecting the dim light of the room. Then she smiled faintly, a small gesture, almost human. Maybe I will teach you something, she said. If you let me. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Teach me what? How to see things you cannot see, Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. She turned back toward the window and stared at the stars, her patterns flickering softly. Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine, though he could not explain why. That night, as the station's artificial lights dimmed and the corridor outside grew quiet, Marcus prepared for bed. He was careful, giving Lyra as much space as possible. They had no choice but to share a room, and for now, that meant sharing the same sleeping area. Marcus lay down on his side of the bed, trying to focus on the soft hum of the station and the gentle rocking from the orbit. Lyra, however, was not yet asleep. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at him with those large, reflective eyes. "You are very still," she said. "I am trying to sleep," Marcus replied, keeping his voice calm. "You think too much," Lyra said softly. "About rules, about duty. You forget to notice life." Marcus blinked. "Life? You mean here?" "Yes," she said simply. "Out there." She pointed toward the window, where the stars moved slowly across the blackness of space. Stars move, but they see you too. They know who is kind and who is not." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "The stars do not see anything." Lyra shook her head. "They see everything. Some humans forget." He studied her for a moment. There was something strange in her voice, not childish, not playful, but firm, almost wise. He realized then that she was not just a small alien child. She was something different, special. "Lyra," he said slowly, "you are far from home. You need to rest. Tomorrow will be long." She did not argue. She lay down carefully on her side of the bed, curling her small frame close to the edge. Marcus could hear her breathing, soft and even. Despite the unease, he felt a strange sense of responsibility settle over him, stronger than ever before. As he drifted toward sleep, Marcus could not help but glance at her one last time. Lyra's eyes were closed, but the soft glow of her skin, patterns pulsed faintly like a heartbeat in the dark. He wondered what thoughts raced through her mind. She seemed to understand more than she should, and that both worried and intrigued him. The night passed quietly, except for the soft hum of the station. Marcus dreamed of stars and distant worlds, of children he had never met, and of duties that demanded courage beyond ordinary limits. When he woke, Lyra was already awake, sitting by the window, staring at the infinite expanse of space as if she were waiting for something, or someone. "Good morning," Marcus said quietly, not wanting to startle her. Lyra turned her head and smiled faintly. "Morning," she said. Then she paused. "Do you see it too?" Marcus frowned. "See what?" "The stars," Lyra said. "They are watching us." Marcus laughed softly, despite the unease. "I think it is just the reflection of the station lights." Lyra shook her head, firm and certain. "No. They know you, Marcus. You will see soon." Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine again. He was not sure what she meant, but he knew one thing clearly. This assignment would be nothing like any other he had experienced. He would have to protect her, guide her, and perhaps learn things he had never imagined. As they prepared to face the day together, Marcus realized that this strange, small alien girl would challenge him in ways he could not yet understand. She was clever, fearless, and more aware of the universe than anyone he had ever known. And though he was uneasy, a part of him was curious. Curious to discover the truth behind Lyra, and the truths they might share together. The station was quiet, but beyond the walls and lights the universe waited. And within that vast expanse, a human guard and a young alien girl had just begun a journey that would change both of them forever. The morning light filtered softly through the small viewport, painting the room in gentle gold. Marcus sat at the edge of his bed, adjusting his uniform, while Lyra crouched near the window, her small hands pressed to the glass. She traced invisible patterns across the stars outside, as if communicating with them in silence. "You watch them again," Marcus said quietly, not moving from his spot. Lyra did not look at him. "They are alive," she said simply. Not like you, but alive. Marcus shook his head slightly. Stars are not alive. They do not move on purpose. They follow physics. Lyra turned her large eyes toward him, her glowing skin flickering faintly. Humans think too much about rules. Sometimes, the universe is bigger than rules. Marcus sighed. He had learned in his years of guarding that patience was his greatest weapon, and with Lyra, patience would be tested daily. He stood and walked to the small table to organize the day's schedule. There were drills, assignments, and the usual station routines. His responsibility was to keep Lyra safe, and for that, he needed structure. Today we have basic station drills, Marcus said. You will follow instructions. No wandering off. Lyra tilted her head, a small smile curling her lips. Drills are boring. Humans make everything boring. Marcus chuckled softly despite himself. Boring keeps people alive. She narrowed her eyes but did not argue. Instead, she reached toward a small console on the table, tapping it lightly. Lights blinked in response, and Marcus noticed her fascination. You are curious about everything, he said. I notice everything, Lyra corrected. Even you, Marcus. Marcus froze slightly. Even me? Especially you, she said, with a grin, and for a moment her alien innocence made him uneasy. Their first stop was the station's central training hall. The room was massive with floating platforms, holographic targets, and walls that displayed data streams. Marcus walked carefully beside Lyra, keeping a hand lightly near her shoulder to guide her. Lyra's eyes widened in amazement. It is so big, she exclaimed, hopping lightly from one platform to another. Stay close, Marcus reminded her. This place is safe, but accidents can happen. She pouted playfully. Accidents are only for humans. I am careful. Marcus smiled faintly. Her spirit reminded him of children back on Earth, though Lyra was far from ordinary. She seemed fearless, but Marcus knew that fearlessness without understanding could be dangerous. First, Marcus said, we practice basic emergency drills. Follow my instructions exactly. Lyra nodded, her small form attentive. Marcus guided her through drills, fire suppression, hull breach protocols, and simulated intruder warnings. She was fast to learn, sometimes faster than him. You are good at this, Marcus admitted as she completed a complex maneuver faster than expected. Lyra tilted her head. I watch patterns. I understand the shapes of things. You humans only see one way. Marcus frowned, impressed despite himself. Her intelligence was not just quick thinking, it was intuitive. He realized he was not simply teaching her. She was also teaching him in her quiet alien way. After the drills, Marcus and Lyra headed to the station's mess hall for lunch. The hall was crowded, a mix of humans and various alien species. Food smells mingled, spicy, sweet, and unfamiliar. Scents filled the air. Lyra's nose twitched. Food is strange here, she said, sniffing cautiously. Marcus nodded. You will learn what is safe. Try a little of everything. Balance is important. Lyra picked at her plate but could not resist tasting everything slowly. She made faces at some flavors and nodded approvingly at others. Humans eat strange things, she said, eyes twinkling. But some are nice. Marcus laughed softly. Some humans are strange too, he said. Not all good, not all bad. Lyra's gaze flicked to him. Like you? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Like me, he admitted. As they finished their meal, a group of curious station children approached Lyra. Their eyes widened at her glowing skin and large, reflective eyes. Some whispered to each other, pointing and giggling softly. Lyra's small hands clenched slightly, but Marcus stepped forward calmly. Do not worry, he said quietly. They are just curious, nothing more. Lyra relaxed slightly and stood tall. I am not afraid, she said. Marcus nodded, but inside he felt a pang of concern. The station was safe, but not everyone understood alien children. Protecting? Lyra meant anticipating more than physical danger. It meant shielding her from misunderstanding and fear. Later in the day, they returned to their room for a short rest. Marcus took a seat at the table, scanning reports on his tablet, while Lyra moved quietly around the room. She picked up small items, a pen, a dish, a piece of clothing, and examined them. "You like to understand everything," Marcus observed. "I need to know," Lyra replied. "To survive. To be ready." Marcus nodded, thinking of the dangers they had yet to face. Her curiosity was not merely play, it was survival instinct, sharp and precise. Then she turned toward him, her large eyes serious. "Marcus, do humans always follow rules?" "Mostly," he said. "Rules are made to protect people." Lyra shook her head. "Sometimes rules hide things. Sometimes rules stop people from seeing truth." Marcus frowned. "Truth," she smiled faintly, almost sadly. "Yes, I will show you one day." Evening came and the artificial lights of the station dimmed. Marcus prepared for bed while Lyra again stayed by the window gazing at the stars. She hummed a soft tune, almost like the vibrations of the universe itself. Marcus sat on his bed, keeping his eyes on her. "You hum?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "It helps me think. Stars respond to sound, not like humans hear, but in ways you cannot see." Marcus shook his head. "I will never understand that." Lyra laughed softly. "Not yet. But you will, maybe. If you listen carefully." The night grew darker and the station quieted. Marcus lay down and Lyra curled up near her side of the bed. They shared the room silently, a strange but growing trust forming between them. Marcus felt a protective warmth toward her, while Lyra seemed comforted by his presence. Then, unexpectedly, Lyra spoke again. "Marcus, do you believe in danger before it comes?" Marcus frowned. "What do you mean?" Lyra's eyes were wide, her glowing patterns flickering slightly. "Sometimes I feel things before they happen. A person, a place, a machine. Danger comes. And I know. Humans do not see this." Marcus studied her carefully. "You can sense things?" Lyra nodded. "Not always, but sometimes. I feel when something is wrong." Marcus felt a chill. He had trained for emergencies, but intuition like that was rare, even among humans. "You will need to tell me if you sense anything," he said firmly. "I will," Lyra promised. Marcus realized then that their bond was not simply about care or duty. It was about trust, learning, and survival. This small alien girl was clever, perceptive, and far more capable than anyone might expect, and she would teach him lessons he could not yet imagine. The night passed quietly, filled with soft hums and the distant mechanical sounds of the station. Marcus slept fitfully, aware of the strange presence beside him. Lyra, awake for longer than he, seemed to watch the stars and perhaps the universe itself. By morning, the unease of their first day had softened into a tentative rhythm. Marcus felt a growing respect for Lyra's courage and intelligence, while Lyra seemed to appreciate the human's protective instincts. Together, they were forming a partnership, one that would need to endure the challenges ahead. As the first light of the station cycle crept into the room, Marcus knew this assignment would not be simple. There would be trials, challenges, and dangers he could not yet predict. But for the first time in a long while, he felt a spark of curiosity, not just about the universe, but about the small alien girl who had captured his attention and respect. Lyra turned her gaze toward him, her smile faint but genuine. "Today, we will learn more," she said. Marcus nodded. "Yes, today we will." And with that, the two of them stepped into the bustling station together, ready to face the strange, wonderful, and sometimes dangerous world that awaited them. The space station hummed softly, a low, constant vibration that reminded Marcus of the pulse of life itself. Day 3 of his assignment with Lyra had begun, and while the routines were familiar, he sensed that the little alien girl was growing, bolder and more aware with every passing hour. Marcus walked beside her in the corridors, his eyes scanning the activity around them, but Lyra's attention was elsewhere. She stopped suddenly, tilting her head as if listening to something only she could hear. "Lyra?" Marcus asked, his voice calm but firm. "What is it?" She turned her reflective eyes toward him. "I hear patterns," she said softly. "Not like you, but the machines, the walls, they speak in vibrations. I understand a little." Marcus paused, frowning. Machines and vibrations he could understand, but walls speaking? That was beyond him. Yet he did not dismiss her words. He had learned that Lyra was far more perceptive than most humans. "Do not wander," he said gently. "We need to stay together." She smiled faintly, brushing her fingers across the metal rail. "I am careful. You will see." Their morning was filled with drills, communication exercises, and careful observation of the station's security systems. Marcus was struck again by Lyra's quick learning. She was not just intelligent, she noticed small details, patterns, and potential dangers that he had overlooked. During a break, they retreated to their shared room. Marcus sat at the table, reviewing his notes, while Lyra quietly explored the space. She opened drawers, examined utensils, and carefully arranged small items in neat patterns. "You always organize things," Marcus observed. Lyra tilted her head. "Patterns are safe. Chaos hides danger. You humans do not always see that." Marcus nodded slowly. She was teaching him as much as he was teaching her. The station was orderly, but Lyra's insights revealed layers of information that a purely human mind might miss. After a while, she wandered to the window and pressed her small hands to the glass. Marcus followed, standing silently beside her. "The stars," she whispered. "They tell me things. Sometimes good, sometimes warnings." Marcus glanced at her. "Warnings?" Lyra nodded. "I see when something is wrong. Not always. But sometimes I felt it yesterday before the drills. Something could have happened, but you were careful." Marcus swallowed, a chill running down his spine. He had trained for emergencies his whole life, but intuition like Lyra's was rare. He realized how fortunate he was to have her as a companion. "You must tell me when you sense danger," he said firmly. "We can only stay safe if we work together." "I will," she promised, her glowing patterns flickering softly in the dim light. That evening, after the day's activities, Marcus and Lyra prepared for rest. The station's lights dimmed, and a quiet calm settled over their room. Marcus lay on his side of the bed while Lyra curled up across from him, her small frame cozy and alert. "I like the quiet," Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It lets me think." Marcus nodded. "Quiet can be good. But you must rest too. Tomorrow will be long." Lyra turned her large eyes toward him, her gaze unusually serious. "Marcus, do humans always tell the truth?" He paused. "Mostly," he said carefully. "But sometimes people hide things, for good reasons or bad reasons. Why do you ask?" Lyra sighed softly. "Some truths are heavy. They can change everything. I carry one, but I do not know if I can tell it yet." Marcus felt a pang of curiosity mixed with concern. She was just a child, yet she carried something weighty, something potentially dangerous. "When you are ready, you can tell me," he said. "I will listen, and I will protect you." She studied him for a moment, her glowing patterns shifting, like soft waves. "You are kind," she said finally. "Humans are different from what I expected." Marcus smiled faintly. "Different can be good." For a while, silence enveloped them. Lyra hummed softly, a low melodic vibration that seemed to harmonize with the hum of the station itself. Marcus found himself relaxing, though his mind was alert, thinking about the warnings and visions she hinted at. Later that night, the unexpected happened. A soft, pulsing alert echoed through the room. Marcus leapt up instantly. Lyra was already sitting upright, her eyes wide. "I felt it," she said. "Something is wrong." Marcus moved to the console, checking the readouts. A small security breach had occurred in a restricted corridor. Not dangerous yet, but enough to trigger alarm. "Stay here," Marcus said firmly, taking his stun baton and moving toward the breach. Lyra's small hand grabbed his arm. "You do not understand," she said urgently. "I can help. I can sense it." Marcus hesitated. He had been trained to handle breaches alone, but Lyra's confidence and intuition were impossible to ignore. Carefully, he allowed her to guide him, her small fingers pointing to subtle signs he might have overlooked. Together, they found the source, a malfunctioning maintenance robot. Marcus deactivated it safely, thanks in part to Lyra's insights. "Good work," he said, a mixture of relief and admiration in his voice. "You helped prevent a problem from becoming serious." Lyra smiled faintly. "I told you. Sometimes I see before it happens." Marcus shook his head, impressed and a little unsettled. He had been trained for every possible scenario, yet a child, and an alien at that, had assisted him in ways he could never have predicted. The next morning, Marcus awoke to find Lyra already at the window, staring at the stars again. He rubbed his eyes and stretched. "You are early," he said. "I do not sleep as much as humans," she replied simply. "I watch. I learn." Marcus studied her carefully. There was determination in her gaze, but also something vulnerable, something that reminded him why he had taken this assignment so seriously. She was not just a child to guard, she was unique, intelligent, and capable of seeing the universe in ways he could not. "Lyra," he said softly, "do you want to tell me your secret?" She shook her head. "Not yet. Soon. But you must be patient." Marcus nodded. Patience was part of his duty, though it was not easy. He felt a growing respect for the small alien girl who could sense danger, understand patterns, and yet remain so innocent. During their morning drills, Lyra surprised Marcus again. While he was focused on the technical aspects of security protocols, she noticed a subtle flaw in the station's sensor alignment. She pointed it out quietly, and Marcus adjusted the system. "You see things I cannot," he admitted, shaking his head in disbelief. "I rely on your instincts more than I ever expected," Lyra grinned. "You learn, Marcus. That is what happens when you live with someone like me." Marcus chuckled softly. "I suppose so. But you learn too. You learn about humans, their fears, their rules, their ways." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but humans are more interesting than I thought. You care even when it is hard. That is rare." Marcus felt warmth in his chest. Her words were simple, yet they carried deep meaning. Humans were capable of empathy, courage, and protection, and Lyra had recognized that. He realized that this small alien girl had already begun to change him, to open his mind beyond his own rules and training. That evening, the two returned to their shared room. The station lights dimmed, casting long shadows across the walls. Marcus sat at the table reviewing reports while Lyra curled up near the window, humming softly again. "You will need to trust me more," Lyra said suddenly. Marcus looked at her. "Trust you?" "Yes," she said. "I know more than you think. I feel more than you think. But I do not always show it. You must listen, not just see." Marcus nodded slowly. He had learned this lesson over the past 3 days. Lyra was not a child to control or correct. She was a partner to understand, to protect, and to learn from. "I will listen," he said firmly, "and I will protect you no matter what." Lyra smiled faintly, her glow pulsing softly in response. "Good. That is what I need." As the night deepened, Marcus lay on his side of the bed, aware of the small alien beside him. Lyra, awake longer than he expected, continued to hum, her gaze on the stars. Marcus realized that this assignment was not just about guarding a child. It was about learning, adapting, and discovering truths that might change his understanding of life itself. The universe was vast and full of mystery, and Marcus knew that. With Lyra, he would see it in ways he had never imagined. And as they drifted into the quiet rhythm of night on the space station, a bond of trust, curiosity, and shared purpose began to form, a bond that would carry them through challenges yet to come. The station's hum felt different that evening. Marcus noticed it immediately, a subtle irregularity in the rhythm of the engines and life support systems. He had spent years aboard space stations, and the faintest shift in vibrations set his instincts on edge. "Lyra," he said quietly, glancing at the small alien girl sitting near the window. "Stay close. Something feels off." Lyra's large eyes reflected the dim light as she turned toward him. "I know," she said softly. "I felt it earlier. There is danger. Not near yet, but soon." Marcus nodded. He trusted his instincts, but Lyra's own senses were proving to be more precise than he had ever imagined. Together, they would need to act quickly if the station was threatened. The alert came minutes later. Red lights flashed through the corridors accompanied by a loud klaxon. Marcus grabbed his stun baton and motioned for Lyra to stay behind. "Marcus," Lyra called, her voice firm. "I can help. Please, let me." He hesitated for only a moment. He knew she had unique abilities, her intuition, her perception of patterns and danger, and ignoring them now could cost precious seconds. "All right," he said, lowering his baton slightly. "Stay close. Follow my lead." Lyra nodded and ran beside him, her small frame moving with surprising speed. Together they navigated the twisting corridors toward the source of the alarm. The situation was immediately clear. A maintenance robot, previously reported as malfunctioning, had started moving erratically through the station's central hub. It was not yet aggressive, but its erratic behavior could cause severe damage if left unchecked. Marcus raised his baton, scanning the robot carefully. "We need to stop it before it reaches the main control console." Lyra stepped forward. "Wait," she said urgently. She placed her small hands near a control panel on the wall. "I can guide you. Watch the patterns. See the path." Marcus followed her instructions, noting the subtle shifts in the robot's movements. Lyra's eyes tracked the trajectory, predicting where the machine would turn next. With her guidance, Marcus was able to deactivate the robot safely before it could cause any harm. "Good work," Marcus said, his voice filled with admiration and relief. "You saved the station, and probably me too." Lyra smiled faintly. "I told you. Sometimes I see danger before it happens." Marcus shook his head, impressed beyond measure. He had trained for countless emergencies, yet a small alien child had just guided him through one with precision he could never have matched. Alone. After the immediate threat was neutralized, Marcus escorted Lyra back to their room. Her glowing skin patterns flickered softly, a reflection of her excitement and relief. "You were amazing," he said. "I could not have done it without you." Lyra's eyes met his, serious, yet calm. "We are a team," she said simply. "You protect me. I protect the station." Marcus realized then that their relationship had shifted. She was no longer just a child under his protection. She was a partner, small but capable, with unique abilities that complemented his own experience. The next morning, the station announced a full review of the security breach. Officers and engineers examined every system, but the anomaly had been minor, enough to trigger alarms but not enough to cause lasting damage. Marcus received a commendation for his quick response, and Lyra's contribution was noted discreetly by the station's command. "You are lucky," Marcus said as they returned to their room. "The council will not speak of your abilities openly. It is safer that way." Lyra nodded. "I understand, but they should know. They need to see what I can do." "Perhaps one day," Marcus said gently. "For now, we keep it quiet. The universe is dangerous, and not everyone will understand." You. Lyra tilted her head. You understand me. Marcus felt warmth in his chest. It was true. He understood her more than anyone else could. He saw her intelligence, her courage, and her strange ability to perceive danger. And he had learned to trust it. Later in the day, the station announced a system-wide drill, simulating an alien intruder aboard the station. Marcus and Lyra participated together. The drill was designed to test coordination, communication, and quick thinking under pressure. Lyra's intuition proved invaluable. She spotted subtle anomalies in the simulation that Marcus would have missed. Together, they moved efficiently, neutralizing the simulated threats and guiding others to safety. Good work, Marcus said as the drill concluded. You make humans look slow. Lyra laughed softly. And you make aliens look careful, she teased, her glowing patterns pulsing with amusement. Marcus smiled, realizing that humor was now a part of their growing bond. She was small, yes, but her courage, wit, and unique perception made her extraordinary. And he had begun to see her not just as someone to protect, but as someone whose companionship enriched his life. That night the station dimmed its lights, signaling rest. Marcus and Lyra returned to their shared quarters. The events of the day left both of them exhausted, yet a sense of satisfaction hung in the air. You are thinking too much, Lyra said softly as Marcus prepared for bed. I am always thinking, he replied. No, she said, moving closer. You worry. Worry clouds judgment. Listen, feel, and see. That is what I do. You can learn. Marcus studied her. She was small, almost childlike in form, yet her wisdom, courage, and perception were remarkable. I will try, he said quietly. Lyra smiled, a small, satisfied gesture. She moved to the bed beside him, curling up on her side. Marcus hesitated for a moment, then lay down carefully, giving her space while still maintaining a protective presence. You trust me now, Lyra said softly. I trust you, Marcus replied, and I will always protect you. Her glow pulsed softly in the dim light. Good, she said. We will face more challenges, I know. But together, we can do it. Hours passed in quiet reflection. Marcus stared at the ceiling, thinking about the dangers they had faced, the trust they had built, and the bond forming between them. Lyra's abilities were extraordinary, but it was her courage, intelligence, and understanding that truly impressed him. He realized that human strength was not just in physical power or training. It was in empathy, adaptability, and the willingness to work with others, even those who were very different from themselves. Lyra, sensing his thoughts, whispered softly, You are stronger than you know, Marcus. Not because of your strength, but because of your heart. That is human. Marcus closed his eyes, reflecting on her words. He had trained for battles, emergencies, and the unknown, but nothing had prepared him for this, an understanding that true strength came from connection, trust, and shared purpose. By morning, the station's routines resumed. Marcus and Lyra moved together through the corridors, their steps in sync. Small smiles, quiet gestures, and subtle glances spoke volumes of the bond they had formed. Today, Lyra said softly as they approached the training hall, we learn more. Not just about rules, but about understanding. You will see. Marcus nodded. I am ready, he said. With you. Lyra's glow pulsed softly in response, a silent affirmation of trust and companionship. Together, they stepped forward, prepared to face the next challenge, whatever it might be. The station was vast, the universe beyond even larger. But Marcus knew one thing clearly. With Lyra by his side, he could face anything. And as the stars twinkled through the viewports, reflecting the infinite possibilities ahead, the small human, guard and the young alien girl stood together, ready to protect, to learn, and to grow. The space station glimmered under the distant sun, casting long reflections across the metal corridors. After the recent events, the alarms, the malfunctioning robot, and the drills, Marcus and Lyra had grown closer than either could have imagined. The quiet bond of trust they shared had deepened, and the small room they shared no longer felt awkward or tense. It was a space of safety, learning, and quiet companionship. Marcus woke early, the station's hum vibrating gently beneath him. Lyra was already awake, sitting by the window gazing at the stars. Her patterns glowed softly, pulsating in rhythm with the faint lights of the station. Marcus observed her quietly, a small smile forming on his lips. "You always watch the stars," he said gently. Lyra turned her eyes toward him. "They tell me things," she said simply. "Things about people, places, and the future." Marcus nodded, remembering the night when her intuition had guided him through the security breach. "And do they tell you about humans?" She tilted her head, a small smile curling her lips. "Yes, some humans are strong. Some are clever. Some are kind even when it is hard. Like you, Marcus." Marcus felt warmth rise in his chest. He had trained his whole life to protect others, to follow rules and to act when danger appeared. But Lyra's words reminded him that courage and kindness were just as powerful as any weapon. That morning, the station's command issued a new order, an inspection of all security protocols after the recent events. Marcus and Lyra were called to assist. Marcus felt a flicker of pride but also concern. Inspections could be stressful, especially with alien officials present. "You will be fine," Lyra said softly as they prepared to leave their room. "I will be with you. Together, we see more." Marcus nodded. Her confidence gave him strength. They walked through the station corridors side by side, their movements synchronized as though instinctively attuned to each other. Other guards and station officials noticed, but no one commented. The unspoken bond between human and alien was clear to see. The inspection began. Marcus guided the officials through security logs, emergency drills, and station protocols. Lyra stood quietly beside him, her large reflective eyes observing everything with careful attention. When a minor discrepancy appeared in a sensor reading, Lyra pointed it out before Marcus even noticed. "See?" she whispered softly. "Patterns tell stories. You only need to listen." Marcus adjusted the system, impressed once again. "You are remarkable," he said quietly, proud but calm. Lyra smiled faintly. "You are learning too. Humans can see, if they try." Their teamwork impressed the inspectors, who commended Marcus for his diligence and calm under pressure. Lyra's contribution was noted discreetly. The council preferred to keep her abilities private. Marcus did not mind. The small alien girl was extraordinary, and he would protect her from anyone who might misunderstand or exploit her. After the inspection, the station quieted. Marcus and Lyra returned to their room, exhausted but satisfied. Lyra moved to the bed and curled up, her small form reflecting soft light from the viewport. Marcus joined her, lying carefully on his side. "You were amazing today," Marcus said softly. Lyra's eyes shone with faint glow. "So were you," she replied. "We make a good team." Marcus smiled, realizing the truth of her words. They had faced danger, solved problems, and learned from each other. The initial tension of sharing a room and a bed had transformed into companionship, trust, and mutual respect. "Do you miss your home?" Marcus asked gently. Lyra's glow dimmed slightly. "Sometimes, but I am learning that home can be more than a place. Home is where you are safe, where you are understood, and where you belong." Marcus nodded, understanding more than she realized. "Then this station can be home for now." Lyra's eyes flicked to him. "Yes, and you are part of it. You make it safe, and you understand me." Marcus felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility. He had been assigned to guard her, but he had gained far more than duty. He had gained a friend, a partner, and someone who challenged his mind and heart. Over the next days, Marcus and Lyra continued their routines. They trained together, studied the station's systems, and shared quiet moments at the window. Lyra's curiosity never waned. She asked questions about human behavior, culture, and even emotions, things she observed but did not fully understand. "You laugh at strange things," she said one afternoon as Marcus chuckled at a clumsy human trainee. "Why?" "Because it feels good," Marcus replied. "It shows happiness. Humans like to share joy, even in difficult times." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "I will try, but I do not have the same feelings exactly." "Perhaps not," Marcus said gently. "But you have your own, and that is enough." Her patterns flickered softly. "I like it here, with you. I feel safe, and that is important." Marcus nodded, moved by the sincerity in her voice. "And I will always keep you safe, Lyra, no matter what comes." One evening, as the station dimmed into its nightly rhythm, Lyra turned to Marcus. Her expression was serious yet calm. "Marcus," she said softly, "I think I can tell you part of my secret." Marcus froze. "Part? Not all?" "No," Lyra said gently. "Not yet, but a part you can understand. I have visions. I feel things before they happen sometimes. Danger, yes, but also moments of choice. You humans do not always see this, but I do." Marcus nodded slowly. He had sensed her abilities growing over the past days, and he trusted her completely. "I understand," he said, "and I will help you always." Lyra smiled faintly. "Thank you. That means more than you know." That night they sat quietly by the window, sharing the peaceful darkness of space. Marcus observed her glowing patterns, soft and rhythmic, and felt a deep connection forming. He realized that life on the station would never be the same. Lyra had changed everything, not just his routines, but his understanding of courage, trust, and companionship. "You taught me many things," Marcus said softly. "And you taught me too," Lyra replied. "Humans are stronger than I thought, not just with weapons or rules, but with heart. That is why you are different. That is why I trust you." Marcus felt warmth rising in his chest. She was small yet wise beyond her years. She had survived loss, adapted to new worlds, and embraced him not as a guardian but as a friend and partner. "We face the universe together," he said finally. Lyra's eyes shone brightly. "Yes, together." The days passed, and the station's routines continued, but Marcus and Lyra were no longer just guard and charge. They were companions, partners in discovery, and witnesses to the vast, infinite universe. They shared laughter, lessons, and quiet moments in the glow of stars, each learning from the other. One morning, as they looked out over the endless expanse of space, Lyra whispered, "Marcus, one day, we can explore more. Other places. Other stars. You and I together." Marcus smiled, feeling a sense of hope and excitement he had not felt in years. "Yes," he said, "we will explore. And whatever comes, we face it together." Lyra's glow pulsed in agreement. She placed her small hand near his and Marcus held it gently. The bond was clear, unspoken but strong. They had faced danger, learned, and grown together, and now they were ready for whatever the universe might bring. The stars outside seemed to twinkle brighter that day, as if acknowledging the partnership that had formed. A human guard and a young alien girl, different in every way, yet united by trust, courage, and understanding, stood side by side, ready to meet the unknown. And in that quiet, vast universe, a new chapter began. One of hope, adventure, and the extraordinary connection between species that proved that humanity's greatest strength lay not just in its might, but in its heart. Marcus looked at Lyra and smiled. She returned the smile, her glowing patterns flickering with joy and curiosity. Together they turned back toward the station, toward life, toward the adventures that awaited them. For the first time, Marcus realized that protection was more than duty. It was partnership. And Lyra realized that even in the far reaches of space, trust and friendship could become a true home. And so, a human guard and an alien girl shared a room, a bed, and the extraordinary truth that together, they could face anything.